Hello everyone, my name is Jenny Burak, and I would like to say hello and thank you to all of my subscribers. There's a lot of people new just in the last month to my channel, so I wanted to acknowledge all of you and say welcome. I thought I would do a little recap of what we've talked about so far this year as far as the prophecies about 2018 and then moving forward, like the period of sustained change is what Metatron describes it as. A lot of people were talking about an event, but this is like going to be a prolonged series of events is what he's saying now. So we're talking about a lot of earth changes and a lot of foundation shaking collectively, like as in geophysically, geopolitically, and then in our individual lives in order to bring us into a place of authority within ourselves and balance, and to be able to move forward into this new period. It's the time of the Great Awakening, and we're all getting ready, each of us, to move into a new divine timing in September. So it's pretty exciting. The earth as well. And we have a beautiful full moon in Pisces on one of the royal fixed stars. This fixed star happens to be associated with Archangel Gabriel. And it's a huge gateway that is coming in. The amount of light that he was showing me, last time I said it was intense. It was intense. But this was magnified significantly, is what he's saying. So he's still helping me out a little bit. I needed a lot of help from him during Mercury retrograde, just simple words. So first of all, congratulations. We've made it through the super eclipse season of 2018, where we had 3 instead of 2 eclipses. We had 6 or 7 planets in retrograde, and this Mercury retrograde, I never make a big deal about Mercury retrograde, but this one kicked my butt, like really. It did. It was like technical stuff. It was in my 5th house of children. I had great things happen too, but I just had a very wild ride. So I know a lot of you have had that same experience. Mercury is now moving forward. I wanted to say a little bit about what happened with me that was on a brighter note. I wanted to thank Nadia Shah, who I found shortly after becoming interested in astrology. Metatron, I've mentioned that I found Amanda Ellis, and about the same time found Nadia Shah's channel on YouTube. And I'm one of the lucky 12 who this year she invited 12 people to make a video to be shared on her channel exclusively. So it won't be on my channel, but I made a video about coming to enlightenment through your natal chart and talking about how, what each of the planets, not each, I didn't go through each planet, but I talked about what some of the planets represent as far as karmic circumstances and how we can do healings and then transmute the energies so that there's nothing negative associated with it there. And, then we just get to use it like for Saturn instead of the Lord of Karma and what terrifies you. Saturn also, once you get your act together, he helps you build something magnificent. And, Saturn is about prestige, and there's a lot of good qualities about Saturn, but I talk about it more in that video that's on Nadia Shah's channel. And I just wanted to say thank you to her again. It was such an amazing, that was just a great thing to be asked by her. She's just so kind. She's very, very successful, and there's no reason that she has to do this for everyone else except because that she's generous and she's kind. And her message is that the universe is wise and loving. And that really spoke to me growing up the way that I did, where I was afraid of burning in hell like every other minute. If you gave someone a dirty look, you were going to go to hell. I mean, that's the way that I grew up. So, and even when you grow, you're an adult and you logically, that that's not really true. It's in there. So I really appreciated her message, and she always has a positive message to share. If you'd like to check out her channel, I encourage you to do that. So I wanted to show you guys the chart for this full moon coming up. See the kite? Isn't it cool? It's really cool configuration there. And that, of course, has a meaning, as everything does in astrology. Kites are like a magical, I mean, I will say, I'm going to just tell my story because I have a kite. Oprah Winfrey also has a kite. Kites aren't so uncommon. With kites, it's sort of like a feeling of, it's fate and destiny, okay, is the way that kites are described. But there can be something that has to be worked through before you come into like all of the gifts kind of thing associated with the energy. And this is on one of the royal fixed stars. The moon is exactly on the royal fixed star Fomalhaut, and he is associated with Archangel Gabriel. So we have 4 royal fixed stars in the sky. The one in Gemini, Aldebaran, is associated with Archangel Michael. And then we've got Regulus, who moved out of Leo into Virgo in 2011, which is a huge significant event. The only person who I heard really addressing it, maybe, I'm sure there were more, but I did hear David Palmer talk about that. But yeah, it's a big deal that Regulus, which is royalty, moved into Virgo, which is about, and we're in the season of Virgo shortly to come before this full moon comes anyway, when you shift into Virgo. You know, Virgo is about being practical and getting things done, working, having to earn kind of thing. So it's very significant that Regulus moved into, but Regulus is associated with Archangel Raphael. And then Antares, who is it has to do with the constellation of Scorpio, but it actually falls in Sagittarius. He is associated with Uriel. And then we've got our royal star Fomalhaut, which is associated with Archangel Gabriel. And this full moon is ruled by Jupiter and by Neptune. Infinite blessings and gifts, being guided by spirit, knowing that you have the guidance of spirit, expansion. You know, Metatron refers to Pisces a lot of times and Neptune as infinite magic. So it's the fruition of dreams coming true is what he's saying now. So it's a really, really wonderful energy that we've got with this full moon. I think we all could use a breather. And I'm really hoping that this full moon brings that to us. I'm going to just say, too, the way that Mars is aspecting, Mars isn't directly aspecting the this moon, but the moon falls between Chiron and Mars. So Chiron is in Mars constellation of Aries right now. He's moving backward toward Pisces. He's in one of the retrograde. He isn't a planet, but because he's so significant, most astrologers, you know, count him as one of the retrogrades. So Mars is having this conversation with, like, right at the same time. You can see, let me just show you here. If you look at that blue line there, okay, going from Chiron and then up to Mars, the moon is right between. So, and it is Pisces. Pisces can, you know, that's in Neptune. If you're looking at like the lower energies, it's where you could be filled with extreme sorrow. But so it could be emotional. I mean, full moons, new moons, usually we don't feel much emotion. The moon is our emotions. So in the sign of Pisces, with Neptune there retrograde, it could be emotional. But I really think it's the gateway that he showed me, like I said, it was massive and it was very intense. And, you know, the Fomalhaut is about, it bestows charisma, and it engenders the test of remaining true to our ideals. So there's a little bit of that, you know, we could have some sort of test to see like what we're made of. Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. And Mercury, and the very same day, the 26th, when the full moon comes, Mercury will be at the exact degree where he was when he was in retrograde during the new moon in Leo. So he's pulling in the eclipse energies from that new moon that we had in Leo, our gifts, our creativity, where we shine at the same time as this full moon. I think that's beautiful that that's happening at the same time. Then at that very same time as well, right at the full moon, Mars is at his degree of exaltation. He's been there since the 21st of August. He will not start moving forward again, moving direct until about the 28th, like 27th, 28th. But he's going to be stationary direct as when a planet, you know, it's looked like it was moving backwards. Not really. It's just the way that it looks like if you're driving past a train and you can't tell which one of you is going faster kind of thing. They're not actually moving backwards, but they appear to be. But the energy is that they're moving backwards. So I think I might have to stop taping soon if this doesn't stop. I can tell I'm going to cough. Cancel that energy. Thank you. But Mars is at his degree of exaltation, and he's stationary direct. And, you know, Mars is our ambition, our drive, our wherewithal, like how we're going to get where we're going, like the thing that makes you just, you know, pick yourself up by your bootstraps, like some people like to say, and move forward and get it done. So, yeah, and he's talking to Chiron, and then the moon is between them. Moon, our emotions. So, but this is definitely giving us a push, like go, you know. So it happens on the 26th. Mars will move then on like 27th, 28th, closer to 28th. But yeah, he's going to be sitting there, and he's also going to be having a conversation at the same time with Venus, who is in her sign of Libra. And there's a 100-degree aspect. It's called a centagon. For those of you who are familiar with astrology, a centagon carries the same energy as a sextile and a novial. The same, like, you know, both of those, a combination. So it's an important aspect to look at. A lot of times when people say, like, oh, nothing aspects this in my natal chart, it's just because, you know, you aren't using all of the, they're all talking somehow. Okay, it's just a matter of researching like the aspects and the way that the conversations are playing out. But anyway, it's significant, and Venus is going to be also in a square. So that's the 90-degree angle. It's a tense angle. She is square Pluto. And Venus is about love, relationships, value, what we believe we're worth, okay? And Pluto is in the constellation of Capricorn, the transformation of authority. So like where we feel small, you know, Venus wants to know, like Venus is talking to Pluto about like what we could do to shift that, because Pluto is about death and transformation, the phoenix rising from the ashes. Okay, Pluto transits are rough, and Pluto in the natal chart tells the story of the darkness, and then how that's transformed into light, and how you can become the most powerful. Pluto is about power, okay? So with Venus in Libra, relationships, that's our partnerships. And it doesn't just mean romantic partners. It means anyone that you partner with. You partner with your kids, you know, you partner with your parents, you partner with your siblings. It's anybody that we have a partnership with, okay? But and making that aspect to Pluto, and then she's also in another aspect, I won't go into it, but with Uranus, and Uranus is answering to Venus as well while he's in Taurus. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So Venus is there's going to be a lot of things that come up for people. Again, I'm going to keep just saying it about relationships, okay? If you are in a marriage where you're friends and you get along, or you're staying together for the children, don't put that on your children, because children can always tell. Children always can tell what the dynamic is. They might not be able to express it, but they know the dynamic that's going on. So we want to, You know, we're looking to be in a relationship, like when we're staying in a relationship where we don't have any satisfaction. We don't feel like we're not having like the romance, or we're just not satisfied. We're settling. That's like saying to the universe, I'm good. I'm fine. I'll be okay. I don't need anybody else. I'm just happy with this. You know, and who's to say that that partner doesn't have, I'm sure they do, have a soulmate who would be all that to them as well. You know, this is where relationships are that have like run their course, he's saying, or are on shaky ground, a relationship where there's an imbalance. They're going to come to an end. There can be like a peaceful resolution, okay? That doesn't mean that the day of the full moon, they're going to end. I've been talking about this all year because, well, with Uranus and Taurus anyway, and that lasts 8 years. But all of these energies are pointing toward like things that aren't like so connected and well established, breaking apart, okay? I mean, obviously, if you're in a relationship that's stable and happy, then you just turn that around, and that'll be like a solidification, is what he's saying, of the relationship, okay? So this isn't for all relationships. This is like for unhappy relationships, or just relationships where you aren't feeling satisfied, where there's some kind of an imbalance. A relationship where it's just a practical working relationship kind of thing. These are the energies that will come along and kind of sweep that away. And, you know, it's sometimes when we're asking for help with this or that situation and we're getting all the signs like, you know, go ahead, make a move. If we don't then make the move, like for me, I kept begging God, begging for help. Literally, like I really was at my wit's end with one of my children. This is a very long time ago when he was much younger, and he never watches these videos, so I think I could talk about it. But he's a lot older now and everything's fine. But at the time, I was just like, you know, what am I going to do? I was just every day. And the counselors and his father and he also were all saying, like, let him go to his dad's half the time. And I just was like, no, that's not, you know, he's better off with me, and I'm not gonna. And then the universe took him and put him in a military academy about 2,000 miles away. I don't know how far away California is. It's far away from Chicago. And that was the end of that. So, you know, the universe, I always say the universe will drop a pebble, then the universe drops a stone, then the universe drops a brick, and then it just drops a boulder. Like wherever we're holding on to something that no longer serves us, something will come along to sweep that away. So these are the energies that we're dealing with again with relationship. It's just almost, I think every video I've talked about, you know, what's going on with relationships for everyone. And then, let's see, let me look at my notes here. Yeah, so when Mars does start moving forward then on the 28th, he's been retrograde since June 27th. And he does not clear his shadow until October 10th. So, I don't know why I said 12th. Anyway, yeah, what's going to happen now is that issues about, you know, individuals, okay, like you, like what's keeping you from going forward, okay? It doesn't necessarily mean like an argument or a battle with Mars. Mars rules Aries, which is the self. So things that have been like stopping you and blocking you from moving forward now should move away. But these things are going to come to the fore, is what he's saying, during that period going through October 10th. On the 29th, then, we've got Mercury, quincunx Pluto, which is a very uncomfortable aspect. You know, Mercury is merchandise and mercantile and exchange. It's a lot of other things too, but in relation to Pluto being in the constellation that rules banking, the institution of banking, and just institutions in general. And Uranus is in Taurus, Venus's sign, and that's about money too, like resources. It's not just love relationships. It's also about, you know, cash, cold hard cash. Uranus is at 2 degrees and 22 minutes at that that day. So I thought that was significant. And then there's something else coming up the following week. And I said to Metatron, you know, I keep seeing, he shows me a lot of the climate change things coming and then like what's happening individually, but he's never brought up the financial market and or, you know, what's going to happen with that. And I mean, for years, it's looked in the astrology of it that it's going to end. So I just thought like, oh, that's weird. He's never mentioned that. He said, we are feeling the buildup to the largest financial collapse the world has ever seen. So, you know, again, this is another thing that, you know, Amanda Ellis has talked about in her videos as well. There's not a balance. I mean, I know in a channeling she talked about it. You know, there's this top group of people and then there's everybody else. And it can't keep going like that. It just can't. It's not sustainable to keep on going like that. So there has to be a shift and a change. So yeah, the 29th, that's coming, but that doesn't mean that the banks aren't going to collapse on August 29th. But there's going to be some kind of, it can also be a conversation because Mercury is communication. So you might want to watch the way that you talk to people. Like if there is going to be a breakup, maybe wait till a different day to have that conversation. Maybe not the 29th of August. And then on September 1st, the moon in Taurus will trine Pluto. So make a nice, have a nice conversation with Pluto. And that will be, and it will oppose Jupiter, okay? So when we're talking about the moon having a nice conversation with Pluto, a trine is the way that you just, like the aspect that it's making. So it's having a conversation. But the moon in Taurus is in its exaltation. A moon is our emotions, okay? So a lot of times when the moon's in Taurus, people will mention, you know, who don't know anything about astrology to me, that they've been eating a lot. And that's usually when the moon is in Taurus or the moon is in Cancer. And what I wanted to mention with Pluto, you know, because now the moon is going to be talking to Pluto, and Pluto ruling Scorpio, where Jupiter's been all year, is a lot of people, because Pluto also has to do with addictions, because it's control, and it's things where we can get carried away. Yeah, like do the extreme. And Jupiter being there magnifies things. So that can be why a lot of us are, I'm not going to say that, have put on in the past, in the recent past, we've gained weight. We aren't continuing to put it on, but we have been, maybe up until this minute. Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it before. I'm having my Jupiter return. I have Jupiter in the 6th house, conjunct Venus, which is food, and 6th house is diet. And I went back and looked, and every time I've had a Jupiter return, I've gained a significant amount of weight. So I know everybody is saying it. Like, I don't know how many clients I have. I don't think that I have very many clients, okay? So let's say like 90% of the clients that I have mentioned to me that they're struggling with weight issues or eating issues. So just that's, again, the 1st of September. So keep that in mind. And the moon stays there for, you know, a couple of days. So 2.5 days. Because it's opposing Jupiter. You know, Jupiter blows things up and magnifies them. And if there is a food issue or, you know, like that's where we run when we want to feel comforted and stuff. All of that's coming up for everybody this year too. So, and then on the 2nd, September 2nd, Mercury clears his shadow. He's done with his shadow period. So, you know, anything that you bought that, you know, maybe you need to have service or whatever, anything like that, good time to do that, or make returns if you need to. He also then will bring information. So starting on the 2nd, you can start to find out more about a story than you knew before in relation to that full moon, because he's going to be where he was at that new moon eclipse in Leo. And that was last month, by the way. You might find out more information about like your own creativity, your own gifts. You might get a little, you know, like I'm seeing a feather drop, like a little not an announcement, but you might like find out something about a path that you're going to take, or a door could open. So That's on the 2nd. And Black Moon Lilith on the 2nd will be on the South Node. So Black Moon Lilith, I've said, you know, she gets a bad rap. She's like the independent side of the feminine, who stands up for herself. On the South Node, especially because Mercury is clearing shadow that day, just be mindful of, you know, if there was something that went down with someone during the retrograde on September 2nd, just be mindful of, you know, how the person might come across to you, or you might come across to the person that, because a lot of astrologers talk about Black Moon Lilith being like the bitchy side. So just keep that in mind. And on the 3rd of September, Saturn will station in Capricorn. So finally, Saturn's been moving backward for months now. And, April 18th, he started his retrograde. So now issues of authority, it could be even your career, things that have, you know, gone down during that period that he was retrograde now, you're going to feel forward momentum on a lot of things that you've been waiting for, okay? And then so he stations on the 3rd. He doesn't start, he stations on the 3rd. And I like it when he stations. I have Saturn retrograde in my chart. I can tell when he comes to station before he starts to move direct again. He moves direct on the 6th. So, I mean, that period from the 3rd to the 6th, I feel like, and it's probably different for everyone, you know, depending on your own Saturn. He's on my ascendant, so I feel him a lot. I feel like there's a relief feeling when he does that, when he slows down like that. But I don't know, it's different for different people. So, and then on the 3rd, Saturn stations, Mercury and Leo will sextile Venus and Libra. That's another, you know, conversation that we're having with partners or about partners. You might find out information about a partner that you were unaware of. Could be a message about money. On the 4th, the moon in Gemini makes an uncomfortable, the moon in Gemini, which is ruled by Mercury, okay? It makes an uncomfortable aspect to Mars. So I felt like kind of like the 3rd, 4th, that was the same thing if we're talking about in relations to couples. If you're waiting for, you know, a message about like what's going to happen with work or this and that, that would actually be a good day to find out, because Mars is in Capricorn, so the career, and making that aspect. It could also be, you know, information about how you're moving forward, Mars. On the 6th, then, Saturn moves forward and Mercury enters Virgo, his sign, okay? So the sun's already going to be there. The sun gets there before, you know, the full moon on the 26th. But this is when really our attention is going to be drawn to putting practical steps into getting to where we're going. It's going to be a lot of cleaning things out, cleaning out the body, you know, doing a cleanse, starting a new health habit, like maybe flossing. I don't know. You know, something about making our, like caring for ourselves, caring for our bodies, caring for our homes where we live, organizing things, and, you know, bringing like restructuring, he's saying, like an organization, and to like things that maybe you just don't need anymore, you know, getting rid of clothes, giving them to charity, that kind of thing. Okay. That's what Virgo is about. And Virgo is about the practical side of magic. Okay. That opposes Pisces. So it's practical magic. So it's like the steps, like what steps you could implement in order to bring your dream to fruition. Like what work can you do? What practical measures can you take in order to, you know, expand your business or maybe change jobs, that kind of thing. And yeah, we're going to, and then he said, give yourself a service checkup, because Virgo is about service. So this is where, you know, we can also feel like we're being criticized a lot. Virgos can be really critical. I have a South Node in Virgo. I feel like it's okay to say that. I also have a lot of things in my 6th house, which is ruled by Virgo. And on the 7th, then, Mercury is going to aspect like this, okay? Like are you seeing the triangle? Am I making a triangle? Okay, it's a triangle of Saturn and at the apex, and then Uranus and Mercury. So this is a great day to, initiate something. Mars is out of retrograde. Mercury is out of retrograde. This is about, bringing, taking a practical step to make your dreams come to fruition. It's called, it's the pyramid energy. It's a trine. It's a nice energy. Why is that doing that? Yeah, so that's on the 7th. And on the 8th, then Venus will square Mars. So that's the energy of tension again. That'll be during the dark of the moon in the lead up to the September 9th new moon that we have coming. So yeah, that could be, that's another, it could be, that's a breakup energy as well. I mean, really any day you're looking at in here is the energies are rife for, getting out of your whatever circumstances are keeping you from moving into divine union. For the twin flames, I think divine union applies to soulmates too. Yeah, whatever it is that's keeping you from getting there, this is the removal energy. So, but this is a beautiful full moon. Could be a little teary, but really what you want to pay attention to with a full moon is in Pisces especially, and any time that Jupiter and Neptune are, are in charge of the moon, your emotions can easily go down, okay? Or they can go way up. That's the energy of this, okay? So if we're focusing on the positive, acknowledging and appreciating ourselves or anything that's happened for us over the summer that was positive, that's a great way to do that. But it's a lot of releasing energy with this full moon too. A brilliant gateway coming in for all of us. It's pretty exciting. So anyway, everybody take care. Thank you for watching. And if you want to check out my website, it is astrologyforascension.com. And my, what's it called? Podcast is called The Rising, Astrology for Ascension as well. All right, everybody, take care. Bye-bye.